let's start with the prompt. Which finding, if true, would most directly weaken the astronomer's claim? So we're weakening the claim. Let's keep an eye out for that. We could very easily unconsciously go back to inadvertently looking for the right answer, because that's what we do most of the time on these. So let's start reading. Given that stars and planets form from the same gas and dust in space, astronomers have said that host stars and their planets are composed of the same materials, with the planets containing equal or smaller quantities of the materials that make up the host star. This idea is supported by evidence that rocky planets in our solar system are composed of the same materials as the sun. So the idea is being put out here that planets will have the same or lesser, equal or smaller quantities of the material that make up whatever that planet's host star is. So let's start looking at the answers. We're looking for an answer choice that weakens this, that goes against it. So looking at A, most stars are made of hydrogen and helium, but when cooled, they're revealed to contain amounts of iron and silicate. So no mention of just totally different elements, going from hydrogen and helium to iron and silicate. Looking at B, a nearby host star is observed to contain the same proportion of hydrogen and helium as that of the sun. So the same proportion of hydrogen and helium, that fits into the equal or smaller quantities, but this is the one that we might want to be careful with, in the sense that the same proportion kind of matches the original statement. Now, this one's just dead wrong no matter what, because a nearby host star and the sun, that's not even what the passage is talking about. The passage is talking about planets matching their own host star. So this is kind of irrelevant in that sense. But if it had said a planet has the same proportion of hydrogen and helium as the sun, then that would actually, as the let's say the host star that planet is connected to, like the sun, that would actually strengthen it. But because the whole nearby host star and sun, it kind of throws it off and it's just unrelated. So looking at C now, evidence emerges that the amount of iron in some rocky planets is considerably higher than the amount in their host star. So this would weaken it, because we were hearing that the amount in the planet had to be of equal or smaller quantity than the host star. But C is saying that the amount is considerably higher. So it's directly going against and maybe even disproving the theory. So looking at D, the method for determining composition of rocky planets is discovered to be less effective when used to analyze other kinds of planets. Well, I personally don't think that this choice would strengthen or weaken the choices, because we're not really going to ever, anytime in the near future, be able to analyze other planets besides our nearby rocky planets. So it's kind of like a point that doesn't even relate to us personally. But the evidence that we were supposed to think about as far as backing up what we saw was that rocky planets in our solar system are composed of the same materials as the sun. So because we're talking about the method for analyzing other types of planets, that doesn't relate what we're talking about, because our evidence had to do with rocky planets. It didn't have to do with other kinds of planets. So D is a little more irrelevant, and the answer here is C.